Episode 9, Nature is a Force.
Welcome to Thriving with Nature, a podcast that gives you the tools you need to live a modern lifestyle that helps regenerate our planet. And now your host, Hayley Weatherburn.
Hello, Thrivers, and welcome to episode 9. I am wanting to get straight into this today because it feels like it's flowing through my brain right now, and I want to share a download I am getting, and it's a thought I have been articulating with a lot of friends over the last 6 to 12 months, a thought that I am excited to get more and more clear on because I think it's the key. It's the core of my message. It's the core of how I believe we can thrive with nature, and that is that nature is a force. I believe that when we step away from the principles of how nature behaves, nature grows in a natural succession towards abundance. And that's a fact that I learned through syntropic agroforestry. And I think if you just step back and look at anything that a human has abandoned, how nature eventually takes over. And so one thing I'm learning, for those of you who have known me for a while, I also work with an amazing company called Heal Thyself. And Heal Thyself has the principles that if we get out of our way, stop polluting our bodies, and go back to the 7 principles of health, of nature, whole foods, sunshine, air, water, exercise, relationships, and passion, if we follow those, that our body will heal itself. I mentioned before, if you cut yourself, we don't really have to do much. We just have to make sure it doesn't get too dirty. The cut will ultimately heal itself again. So what is happening, what I see is the force of nature. If you align yourself with the force of nature, your body will be healed and thriving. Our environment will be thriving. And so I have this visual, and I'm going to try and articulate it so you can share this visual that's in my brain. I want you to imagine almost like a cartoon person walking along a path, okay? And as this person walks along the path, their body gets stronger and healthier, they're happy. As they're walking along this path, nature is growing around them, it's thriving, the air is clear, and the fruits and vegetables have so much taste and nutrition that they can pick from the side of this path. They're walking along the force of nature. Now, I'm going to share 2 sides of this path. I want you to imagine that this person decides to start straying from the path. So they're starting to maybe veer to the left a bit. And on this straight off path away from the force of nature, like that, it's almost like they go through a curtain and they start to, the further away they get from the force, their body starts to deteriorate. Almost like, I see this sort of visual of this leper sort of walking away and the body starts breaking down and their, bits fall off and it starts to get deformed. The further and further away they move from the path, which is the force of nature. And that is what happens when we take the path of eating artificial foods, processed foods, foods that have not also been grown, that are also off the path. So, a carrot that has grown monocropped, that has chemicals, that has killed the life in the soil, that really just looks like a carrot, but it actually doesn't even taste like a carrot. We have to add lots of salt and probably carrot flavor. So that's the left-hand walk, our own human health. When we start to be sedentary, we sit on a couch and watch Netflix all the time. We, have our hand in plastic bags of pretend food. We're not drinking clear, beautiful water. We're drinking soda pop or, lots of artificial, that's preservatives, it's got numbers in there. The further we go away, we're moving from this force of nature and our body deteriorates. And if you continue on that path, the inevitability is the force of nature will win. You will eventually get the cord that's connected to nature, that is connected to your life, snaps and you die. It's very, very ominous. However, if on this strayed path of your health, you start to recognize this and you decide to turn back towards the force of nature, the force of nature helps build your body back to its ultimate thriving self. So just eliminating processed foods, starting to drink lots of beautiful fresh water, starting to eat vegetables and fruits that are grown regeneratively through soil that is alive, that is aligned with the force of nature, your body comes back. That's how powerful the force of nature is. I want to take an example on the path of the environment, of the planet, of actually business and economy. So right now, and just due to humans, we're doing the best. I honestly believe and I feel that humans, we don't have such terrible negative intentions that we are trying to destroy ourselves. There may be a handful of those, but I feel ultimately that 90 to 95% of us are just doing the best we can, and we do have good intentions. However, a child that has good intentions to give you breakfast in bed made out of a mud pie, you know that the sweetness is there, but you're not going to eat the mud pie. Maybe you will. Maybe you're committed to making sure that child knows that you're very grateful. You may taste some of that mud pie. However, that child, it just did what it saw. It saw that when you have breakfast in bed, it's a good thing. And so that child is just doing the best it could with the knowledge it had. And that's what I feel humans have done when we built this economy, when we built this financial economy, when we built money, the concept of money, when we built the concept of economic success and all those kind of things, GDP, gross domestic product, what's the gross domestic? Yeah, looking at our business side of things, we're just doing it. We're just making mud pies, and we're starting to realize, holy moly, these mud pies aren't really working. And we're growing up as a society, growing up as humans to help us see that, all right, maybe there's a better way. And all of this has been a thought I've had for a while, but as far as the economic side of things, I've just been fully inspired by Zach Bush, MD. I just shared a post on my Insta story, but you can go to Zach Bush and there's a picture of fungi, the underneath of fungi, and he goes in and he talks about how if we just change the model of our economy so that any business, product or service, its first number one intention is to do how will this benefit nature? How will this benefit Mother Nature? And then have the idea of how do I make money from this? But the concept is, like if you're creating a product, let's call it a toothbrush. How can this toothbrush be like a tree that, it fruits and all the leaves and trees and branches, it feeds the soil, which also feeds itself. It's like a circular regenerative flow. How can I create a toothbrush that aligns with the force of nature, that is a cyclical, but almost it's regenerative so that it improves the system? How can this toothbrush be a part of improving the system? And he says, we will teach engineering different. We will teach business different if we align with, and what I'm calling the force of nature. And so I see that we truly can have a beautiful, thriving metropolis, people having their careers in business, as long as we come back to, we turn around, we see that we're screwing up, we see that we've made nature the last thought in our business processes. If we turn around and start to walking towards the force of nature and aligning with the natural regenerative successional abundance of nature, that force, our businesses will thrive as well. And I think that's what's going to succeed moving forward. So the other side of it is, doing the soil advocacy training, looking at urban design, for example. Right now we have concrete cities, and yes, there are trees here and there. But what's happening is they're causing heat islands, which prevent rainfall from coming down over the city and feeding those soil. But when rain does fall, it floods because it can't be absorbed into the ground quick enough. And I had this dream, I had this vision of, instead of the gutters that we have on the side of the road, imagine that there was a meter on each side of the road that was purely lush, green vegetation. Maybe it was a vetiver grass or something that was along the side, so that when water rushed off the road, it went into the soil underneath and it got absorbed. And if you have structured soil that is biodiverse, maybe there's many different crops inside this little meter on each side of the road, and it can be, mowed by a cow or whatever. And as long as people aren't driving over it and compacting it, as long as these gutters, these natural gutters become sponges, the water will start absorbing into earth, and we will refill our aquifers with fresh, delicious water, and droughts won't become a thing either. So urban designing, if it aligns with the force of nature, and our farms, if we align with that regenerative agriculture, if we have cover crops, no longer bare soil, if we protect the soil root system, where the soil food web, the rhizosphere, where all these microbes are, and we start to nurture the microbes and let the microbes, this complex, there's in 1 teaspoon of organic, delicious soil, there are more microbes than humans on this planet. Those microbes know what to do. We need to get out of their way and just nurture and provide what is good for them, and that's protection. And so that's what I'm talking about, the force of nature, these paths. If you find that either your health is deteriorating, it's an indication. It's the flashing light on the dashboard saying you're moving away from the force of nature. If the business is causing rubbish and trash that is building up on this planet, that's the dashboard that your business is not aligned with the force of nature. If your garden has a pest, that's a light on the dashboard showing that you're away from the force of nature. We just have to observe and come back to the force of nature and see what it's telling us. And if we align our businesses, if we align our farming, if we align our health with the force of nature, we will truly be living modern lifestyles that are thriving with nature. So that is my download for today. I'm excited by this concept, the force of nature, remaining on that path. It is really that simple. And when we make the simple decision, it may not be easy, but the decision is simple. If you want to thrive, if you want to be healthy, if you want a business that is going to move forward through the next decade or more, we need to come back to the force of nature, and that will be the one that saves our planet. When we regenerate our farms, the climate change, the carbon comes back in. Our soil can hold 3 times the amount of carbon that's in the atmosphere right now. And all we need to do is start shifting our farming back to the force of nature, and it will reverse climate change. It's that simple. Is it easy? No, because it's changing behaviors. It's changing the way we have seen the world. But it's really that simple. Come back to the force of nature. Thank you so much for listening. I have interviews coming. I know I've said that for a couple of weeks. It's just aligning with these amazing people. So stay tuned. There's some exciting things coming. And look, if this Force of Nature podcast inspired anything, please comment below if you're on YouTube listening to this. If you're in Apple iTunes, just click the link below and you'll go over to my website, and there'll be places to comment. I'd love to hear from you. Tell me what this inspired inside of you. Does it bring something else or make something clear, or is there something that wasn't clear that you think maybe this doesn't align with? I would love to hear from you. Anyway, everyone, for this week, stay focused, get aligned with the force of nature, and I truly believe you'll have a life thriving with nature. Big hugs. Have a great day.
Hey, if you enjoyed listening to my podcast, remember to subscribe to hear more. You also have to come check out the Thriving with Nature website, where all of my videos, podcasts, and resources are to take what we discuss here to the next level and apply it in real life. I'd love to have you come join myself and many others striving towards living a regenerative lifestyle. Go to thrivingwithnature.com.